Hey, Ken folks, it's that time again. Go ahead and grab your incense, your lighter, and a candle. Let's get the smell good going. It's time for Melanin Minds. Let's go. Welcome to today's edition of Melanin Minds, brought to you by the Tree of Eternal Life and Moment of Joy Be a Better You Foundation. I am your host, the Countess Counselor, Dr. Ford, coming to you today with Melanin Minds, whose purpose is threefold. One, to help us face the reality we're facing out here in the streets and out here in the world. Two, to talk about the impact on our mental health and our physical health and our overall wellness. And three, to talk about ways, to discuss ways that we can navigate this situation, right? So we can make things better. Today on Melanin Minds, we are talking about food.
Nearly a quarter of households that include a working adult with a disability were food insecure, compared to just 7% of households without disabilities. Take communities of color, for example. Nearly 1 in 5 Black households and 16.2% of Hispanic households suffered from food insecurity in 2021, compared to just 10.2% of non-Hispanic minority households and 7% of white households.
We're looking at an $11 billion shortfall of food production inside Africa alone. Now I could go to Central America, South America, same issues on droughts. India, devastated by heat and drought, and it could go on and on.
Mali's economy has been deteriorating for years, but rampant insecurity has added to the misery of millions.
Crops are struggling to survive in Zambia. Every day, Peter Shamapondo goes to check on his maize, and every time he comes out here, he worries.
All crops have been destroyed. There's nothing good to look at in the fields. Hunger will kill us.
Traders struggle to sell their products.
Bread, milk, meat, vegetables, everything is expensive. Prices have doubled in most cases. We are barely surviving.
When we transport goods, we pay almost double of what we used to. The transporters tell us it's because of the increase in cost of fuel.
1 in 5 children is malnourished.
Almost 90% of independent food banks say they saw an increase in demand compared to last year. And over 80% reported supporting a significant number of people needing help for the first time.
There was recently an article in the newspaper, and it was talking from the UN, and it was talking about how the combination of climate chaos and the food shortage, because we're in the midst of a food crisis, right? You all remember when COVID came and you got, the shelves was empty, we were looking for toilet paper, water, and cough medicine. The shelves have not returned back to pre-COVID level. In fact, a lot of times what you noticed is the prices have went up for a lot of different goods, right? And they have actually, as far as the product size, that has changed also.
Firms are out there just raising prices, and they're telling you that in their earnings reports. They're like, yeah, we're going to expand our profits.
This is so-called greedflation. Firms taking advantage of consumer expectations that prices will keep going up. And why wouldn't they?
Like, well, duh, they're going to do that. Like, they're companies. That's their goal, is to make a bunch of money.
And then there's shrinkflation. Firms charging the same for what turns out to be a lesser quantity. Here are recent examples flagged by the website Consumer World.
Have you been paying attention with the fast food industry? How this ultra-processed fast food is killing us. It's literally a genocide via what we're putting in our mouth.
I started the experiment by buying a Big Mac. Now, it's almost a year because we're in January now. I think the date is we're 7th of January. So 7th of January, this is my Big Mac. As you can see, everything is fine. This is the burger. What shocks me a little bit is you see this green here. Why is the lettuce still green after almost a year? Like, what's going on? Why is the lettuce still green after almost a year? This is, for me, is crazy. Like, you've got cheese, the cheese is fine, there's no smell. No. Do you know what the funny thing is? It actually still smells like a burger.
Processed foods and how it is linked to 32 diseases and health conditions, including death. Stop. So now think about what's normally in Black and brown communities. Right now, we are facing a tragic and an unprecedented, right? Destruction of human lives, just of humanity. And it's all based on what we're putting in our mouth, what we're putting in our bodies, these processed foods. In the world, we're really facing a lot of avoidable or preventable health issues just because the quality of the food that we consume, right? And so we're often talking about nutritional deficiencies, right? So that means that you can eat food and it could just be bulk matter, right? Something that fills you, but it's empty of the nutrition that you need because there's 14 different systems of the body. All of these systems require a certain amount of nutrients. One of the things that we have to do as people, right, in this global society is, especially as Black and brown melanated people, question everything. Look it up. Thanks to our supporters, Cosmic Cuts in Columbus, Georgia, 813-802-6640. Check out a manual so you can book the look and get the price that fits you. The Vantage Point, Sister Zandi from Righteous Jewel. Check out her on YouTube. Bantu Baby, Growing in Excellence, www.bantubaby.org. And last but not least, JHD Fashion. Get your embroidery and print done right. 609-676-1650. Right now, we are literally in a global food crisis, and everybody knows that there is a situation in Africa with Ethiopia. There's droughts in El Nino with Zimbabwe's. They're needing food. But here in the United States, in Britain, North America, South America, you pick a continent, there's some issues going on with the food.
Jackson is the state's largest city, yet it has one Walmart and one Kroger. Behind me is a boarded up food depot. It used to be one of the other options for fresh produce and meats in this part of town, but it shut its doors last month.
At the start of 2022, dollar stores together operated more than 34,000 stores nationwide. That's more than McDonald's, Walmart, Target, and Starbucks combined. Right here in Toledo, Ohio, when it comes to dollar stores, there are one, here's another, two, and here's another one, number three. Altogether, over 35. In March, advocacy group the Institute for Local Self-Reliance published a study on the impact of dollar stores on predominantly rural, low-income, Black and Latino neighborhoods. Its findings?
When they come into a community, they tend to just pull just enough of the sales away from that grocery store.
Their product line is very horrible as far as substitutes because they stock little fresh produce. They sell only a narrow range of processed foods such as canned soups, sodas, things that's high in sugar and high in sodium, right? So as they expand, these dollar stores not only profit from economic fragility of the neighborhood, but they also profit from structural racism. So they deepen both. Sets off an economic decline in that neighborhood.
But in the near future, nearly 1,000 Family Dollar and Dollar Tree locations nationwide are set to close.
They're left in a real problem because the underinvestment of the large grocers, the pushing out of the mom and pop grocers, and now the disappearance of those dollar store, that a lot of that, I think it makes up about 78% of grocery in a lot of those communities.
He adds that could lead to more food deserts and more reliance on fast food.
Did you know racism was a social determinant of health? Yes. According to the CDC, the Centers for Disease and Control for Race and Health, racism is a system consisting of structures, policies, practices, and norms. A growing body of research shows that the centuries of racism in the country has a profound and negative impact on communities of color. The impact is so pervasive and deeply embedded in our society, it affects where one lives, learns, works, worships, and plays, and creating inequalities, and access to a range of social and economic benefits. This is the CDC. So we are talking about food. So when it comes to cooking, a lot of Black women, because we stand on the shoulders of them grandmothers and them aunties and them sisters and them cousins who always throw down every family reunion. But they never really get their credit for the culinary skills and the wisdom, right? And the food that they created and developed for us. And so there's some wonderful women, right, who, utilize food not only to uplift their community, right, but they understood the importance, right, of freedom, of being able to create Black food for Black people. You know why it wasn't no cookbooks? Well, of course, you know why it wasn't no cookbooks. Because of racism, white supremacy, right? A lot of times when it comes to Black publishing or publishing Black books, a lot of times the book publishing industry is dominated by white males. And even in cooking, we want to dedicate this specific episode we're bringing to you to trailblazer, right, of culinary science and cooking, Miss Lena Richards, right? Miss Lena, she self-published, yes, put her own money up, put her own works up, because she realized that, hey, I'm not going to keep going to these people and having them deny me or just steal my recipes. In 1939, she self-published her own cookbook, the Lena Richards New Orleans Cookbook, right? It was phenomenal, yes? And then she was even on TV, actually teaching people how to cook. She was loved by everyone because her food was fire, right? And so we have to get back set to that again. We have to make some changes and we have to do something different, because not only is it impacting our physical health as men and women and our children, right? But it's affecting our ability to even think or just to be able to have a good quality of life. So, what does this mean? The kitchen is a laboratory, right? And so your kitchen is, especially mothers, because a lot of time women with children, we have to become more aware of what we're putting in our bodies and what we're giving to our children, right? And we can no longer assume that just because it's in the box or just because it's sold at the store, that it's healthy or that it's even good for us, okay? So we have to come and go in the kitchen as if it is more of a science project of making sure that we're creating meals that are nutritionally dense. Second thing is, you can live in an apartment, you can have a backyard, right? Whatever you decide to do is really, really, really important. This year, 2024, get some seeds. It's time to go back to old school grandma down south. We have to start growing our own food. Don't have to be much, right? If you can't get some seeds, if you have some peppers, right? If you have some tomatoes, whatever you have, keep the seeds from them items, right? Dehydrate it, dry it out, right? And then plant that. Little things like that. It'll save you a world of good, but at least you'll know where the food is coming from, right? So with that, your assignment for the week, we're going to eat clean. This week, cut back on some of this processed foods. Pick a couple meals. Be like, no, tonight, not doing that. Because we have to get back to getting on top and being healthy in our right state of mind, having a sound mind and a sound body. And so we got to make some changes. And it's okay because look, right, we need our hormone levels balanced. We need to breathe, have enough oxygen in our bodies, enough water that we're drinking every day. We got to get physical, so we have to just walk. And so with that, take it all in. Smell that smell good. Deep breath, deep breath. One more time. Let's do another deep breath. You've been informed, right? We are aware, we are okay, and we choose to do something different. Thank you for joining us today. See you next week on Melanin Minds. Take care again, folks.